politicians in cars getting coffee. We have former President Ronald Reagan talking on his presidency.
Wow.
Hey, Mr. President, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Mr. Carson. How are you?
A cup of coffee?
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about your presidency. Nice weather we're having today.
Yeah, it's a little cloudy, but
Yeah, not the best weather.
I know. Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
Should be 82 degrees. Might take the wife and the
Ah,
kids
that's
down
nice.
to the beach.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, but let's get on to business.
Of course,
So,
of course.
After,
Business is my middle name.
so after your presidency, there was a lot of controversy over your economic plan. How do you think that went for you?
Well, Mr. Carson, my administration aimed to limit government regulations on trade, lower taxes, and balance the budget. Those were our three main goals during my presidency. And I lowered taxes and increased military spending. Supply side economics, my hopes was that they would stimulate the economy after the small recession we had. And although the federal budget deficit increased, we were able to slow down the growth of welfare programs in our country, and that was a goal of mine. So I think we were successful in that regard, and I'm happy about that.
Speaking of your welfare system, how do you think that went for you?
Well, I'm very against FDR's New Deal and Lyndon B. Johnson's Great Society programs. So I'm not in favor of entitlement programs. The federal government should not be funding the welfare systems with tax dollars. Plain and simple. Welfare makes citizens dependent on the government, and I do not believe that is fair to the hard-working people of this great country. As president, I limited funds going into the welfare system by lowering the taxes, and I think I was successful in lowering the entitlement programs. They are a disgrace to our country, and I hope that they are eliminating it because I don't think that is where taxpayers' money should be going.
So, are you enjoying your coffee so far?
I am enjoying my coffee, Mr. Carson. Thank you so much. Is this hazelnut?
Yeah, it is.
You know me so well.
Throughout your second term, though, you focused more on foreign policy rather than the tax cuts on the budget. What did you do, and were you more able to accomplish your foreign policy goals?
Well, in my second term, the Soviets were a real apparent threat to this nation and to the world. And so, because of their goal of global domination and spreading communism throughout the world, not even the country, it was a real serious threat. I believe that expansion of military and a new arms race would really just choke the Russians, as they would not be able to afford keeping up with us. And so it would force them into negotiating with us and give us the upper hand so that we could crush communism and stop the evil influences of the USSR. Mr. Carson, do you mind if we make a quick stop?
Yeah, let's go.
Awesome, thank you.
With military expansion and increased spending, how did the Soviets react?
Well, tensions were high between the U.S. and the USSR during my presidency, especially when the Russians boycotted the Olympics when they were held in Los Angeles. I was deeply upset by that. But the election of a new leader in Mikhail Gorbachev really helped me to be able to establish amicable relationships with the country. And I have a special guest here today.
Oh, really?
My dear friend, Mikhail Gorbachev.
Hello, everybody. Hi. Greetings from USSR and glorious
You're not
Russia.
in the USSR anymore.
Or former USSR, I should say.
Would you like some coffee, Mikhail?
Oh, yes,
Nico.
please. It's not a lot of this in Russia.
That's a shame.
Very
It's very good. I like to celebrate my holidays with it.
Okay.
I was very pleased when I was able to work out an agreement with you to eliminate the deployment of intermediate range nuclear weapons in Europe with the INF Treaty. I'm very glad we were able to work that out, and I think it is a standing accomplishment of our friendship and the relations of our two countries. So cheers to that, Mr.
Yes.
Gorbachev.
Cheers. Mazel tov.
Ready?
You're fine.
So I was very happy when Mr. Gorbachev was put in office as the new leader of the Communist Party. He wanted to ventilate the secrecy of Russia, and exercise free speech and political liberty in the country. And that was something I was very excited about and felt like I could work with him in a good relationship. Isn't that right?
Yes, very good relationship. My policies of glasnost and pedestrian helped to give the people of Russia more liberty and took the Communist Party out of the governing authority in the country. Many people said they contributed to the failure of the Soviet Union, but these policies were not failures. They were just exploited by opportunists.
Exactly. And so it was that. It was Mr. Gorbachev's willingness to adopt Western beliefs and use a free market to revive Russia's economy that really piqued my interest in working with him. And they reduced their military, and I'm glad, because that is what I was hoping to achieve by opening up relationships with the USSR, Mr. Carson. So I think it was very successful, and the USSR was dismembered, and I'm glad to say that we are allies with Russia now, and it is very successful. A highlight of my presidency, if I should say. Should so say. So cheers,
Yes.
Mr.
Oh,
Gorbachev.
thank you.
Well, thank you for joining me on Politicians and Cars and
I'm
Coffee.
so glad to be here with
Thank
you
you,
today.
Mr. Gorbachev.
Thank you.
It's been a great day.
Where'd he come from?
Berlin Wall no more.
West Berlin. I never thought I'd make it. On my inauguration day in 1981, the Iran hostage situation was resolved, and the hostages were freed safely and peacefully.
Welcome to Cash Cab. Are you guys ready?
Of course. I'm so excited to be here.
Who do we have here today?
I'm President George H.W. Bush.
And Saddam Hussein.
This is a little awkward. All right, well, let's get started.
We'll work past our differences.
So, what two foreign policy problems was Reagan faced with during the Iran-Contra embargo?
Saddam.
Can I phone a friend?
No, I'm sorry. Time is up. The correct answer was Reagan had to face many problems: American hostages in Lebanon and the left-wing Sandinista government in Nicaragua. Congress refused to send aid to the hostages in Nicaragua. At the time, the U.S. sold arms to Iran used against Iraq. Iranians helped release American hostages, and the Iranian money paid to U.S. was diverted to the rebels, or the Contras, in Nicaragua. Under what president did the Berlin Wall fall and the USSR ended?
Well, good golly, that was me.
Correct. $1,000 to Bush. Saddam, you're slacking. What was the START II deal signed by Bush and Boris Yeltsin?
I think it was a deal to reduce both U.S. and Russian long-range nuclear arms by 2/3 within 10 years.
That's correct.
Hey!
$1,000. It is a red light challenge. You know what that means. You guys
I hope I
ready?
can do it.
What was the Persian Gulf crisis?
Well, I think this was time when I was exercising military power in the summer of 1990. This man, Saddam Hussein, was invading Kuwait, which is very rich in oil, and he did this because he needed to pay for the 8-year-long war he had with Iran, and he wanted control over Persian Gulf, and it's when the UN condemned Saddam for his actions, and he was given the ultimatum to either withdraw or the UN would send forces to attack him and his men that were there. Saddam did not accept, and so the US was forced to send troops, and the US and the UN together, we launched an attack on Iraq, starting the war. And this was known as Operation Desert Storm, which was a 4-day operation, but Saddam accepted a ceasefire, and Kuwait was liberated after those 4 days. And I think that adequately answers your question as to what the Persian Gulf War was.
That's correct. You have won Cash Cab. Alright, your stop's coming up. There's time for one more final bonus question. Question is, what did Bush's
Americans with
Oh.
disabilities.
Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 do?
Well, I think it prohibited the discrimination of people with physical or mental disabilities, which was a major impact on social issues in the United States.
That's correct. And this was
Hey!
$500.
We won cash cow, baby.